Morning and welcome to the Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez, along with my producer, Alden Iwani. Our special guest today, Analisa Ibarra, the Cueva track athlete. And Analisa, welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you on.
Thank you, sir. I'm very glad to be on.
You know, Analisa, I talked to your coach, Jim Chickarella, who's been coaching track and field for over 50 years, New Mexico Sports Hall of Fame member. He knows much more about track than I do, and I've got a lot of respect for him. And, he's the one that suggested that we bring you on. And you participated in track for the Cueva for 4 years. Freshman, you became a floater running JV and varsity. You've been on the varsity now since your sophomore year. You lettered in track as a sophomore, and you will again this year. You run the 100 and 300 meter hurdles, 400 meter dash, 4x200 meter relay, 4x400, and the 800, the 16-meter medley relay, 4x800 meter relay. Last year, you also long jump, triple jump, and threw the javelin briefly. So quite an impressive track resume for sure, and that doesn't begin to tell half the story about Analisa Ibarra and we'll get into some more of that later. But talk to us a little bit about that. I mean, you came on and floated as a freshman, and here you are now. And talk to us a little about, summarize your track career at La Cueva.
Okay, yeah. So my freshman year, I joined a little bit late. So I was a floater so I worked my way up to a floater in my freshman year. Coach wanted to take me as an alternate to state, but unfortunately, because of certain events, I couldn't make it. But it's been a really great journey these 4 years, and I've had my teammates and my coaches to kind of help me through it. I only got involved with hurdles the summer after my sophomore year, but the 100-meter hurdles and the 300-meter hurdles are now like two of my favorite events in the track meet, and I love to run them. I really owe it to my fellow athletes and my coaches, Jim Chickarella and Coach Williams and Coach Medley, because I did struggle with confidence in my freshman and sophomore year, and a lot last year too. So it's only recently that I've begun to believe in myself a little more. And that's only because of all the encouragement they've given me over the years. So I have a great support system with my parents and my family and my teammates and coaches.
You know what? I think that's important about the confidence level, right? Every athlete goes through that. There's moments where you feel like you're on top of the world and you can't be beat. Then there's moments that, again, the confidence wanes. You also went through a pandemic a couple of years ago, right, where they shut things down. Talk about how dealing with that and how your coaches, La Cueva's got an excellent track program, by the way, right? An excellent track program. Talk about how you all got through that together as teammates and how that confidence came again, because sometimes, again, everyone goes through it. I don't care how great the athlete was. There's moments where you're not sure, right? You're not sure. Talk a little bit about going through that pandemic and how that confidence, rose to where it is now.
Absolutely. Well, last year it was just so strange with the pandemic, because sophomore year we didn't get to go to state, and then junior year the season went so late into the summer that we barely even had a team with everything that was going on, like just the late schedule and some kids who didn't want to run because it was the pandemic and we had to have masks on the entire time, which was really difficult when it's like about 90 degrees outside and you're running with a mask on. It makes you feel like you can't really breathe that well. So that was definitely a rough season. We had fewer girls and fewer teammates, but those of us that were there stuck together, and our coaches really made sure that we put in the work so we could perform as well as possible in the state meet last year. And that was really important, because honestly, the track and field last year, even though I was still struggling with some anxiety and nerves, especially since it was my first time at state, but it gave a sense of normalcy to the whole pandemic. So I really think that track and field, even though it was really tough that year, it did help us to feel a little more grounded.
But you know what? That's a good point. And remember, everybody talked about the masks, right? So, basketball players had to do it. softball, everybody that was participating. It's a little different track because you're always, you run, right? It's been running happened in basketball, soccer, I get it, but this is track. And it's not something it's foreign to every track athlete and to every athlete, and you had to deal with that. So, and you came through that again. You mentioned a sense of normalcy, and I think it was for everyone, right? Because we weren't sure if their sports were even going to be played. Then all of a sudden, last March, they crammed them all into one giant season, right? So I think a lot, and I know I was happy as a broadcaster. I'm happy to see kids out there participating again. I used to play too, so I know how that goes. But I think that sense of normalcy that you described was so important. And just but judging by the way you described it, was so important to you and your teammates at La Cueva.
Yeah, it really was, like, because honestly, I'm a runner, so if I like miss practice, I always feel so jittery, like there's something I should be doing. And track and field has helped me to grow my confidence in myself and just like help me throughout school, because it's a release. It's something that I can do that I know I'm good at, and I can go and see my teammates and my coaches every day and work with them. And so that was very important going through the pandemic, because we were on school online, and track and field was really the only place that I got to have that interaction with other people. And I love the track team at La Cueva. One of the reasons why is because we're a community. I love all the girls that are on our team, and I respect all the girls on our team and our coaches.
It's an important thing, right? That thing that bonds you, the camaraderie that only you understand, your teammates, your own little specific track lingo that other people wouldn't get. So it's important. I get that. What would you say is your best event? What would you say? Again, you run the hurdles. You've done a lot of things, and you're quite the athlete. We're going to get into your academic achievements later, but what would you say is your best event?
My best event is probably the 400-meter dash, I think. I really only started doing that this year. I've been on the 4x400 relay for a while now, but the coaches decided to put me in the open 4 this year. And once I started like getting good times in the open 400, I started kind of thinking to myself, hey, maybe I could actually win this. And so that's probably my best event.
Now, talk a little bit about the training for that event. Again, people that don't run track, that's why I wanted to get a track athlete on. People have no clue what the training is, right, to get ready for a 4x400. Talk a little bit about the training and preparation for an event like that.
Yeah, well, I have teammates that I run with during practice. So I've done the 200, the 400, and the 800. So I'm more of a mid-distance sprinter.
We lost your, there you go. You came back. We lost your microphone for a minute. Can you go back over that last sentence just one more time? We lost you just for about a half a second.
Definitely. So I'm a mid-distance sprinter. So Coach Chickarella splits up my workouts between running repeat 600s and repeat 200s, things like that. So just yesterday's workout, Monday workouts are probably the hardest of the week, but they're also the most helpful. For the 400 specifically. And so Coach Chickarella has me do 2 200s with 100-meter kickers. So you run 200 hard as you can, get like 30 seconds of rest, and then you sprint a 100. And then he has me do 2 600s with 200-meter kickers to kind of give me both the speed at the end of the race and the beginning of the race, so I can get out fast and finish fast, and the endurance for the rest of the 200 meters.
Tell you what, it's not for the faint of heart, right? It's not. I'm imagining that kind of training there. 30 seconds that Coach Chickarella gives you, then you're at it again. And right, takes a lot of moxie, a lot of endurance, a lot of heart. You know what you're facing, but it sounds like to me that you have to have that. You're used to that, And Coach Chickarella also says you run a quality 800. Talk to us about that. Again, you're in a lot of events here, and it's a lot of training, and they're all different. Talk to us a little bit about the 800.
Okay, well, I started doing the 800 in my sophomore year. And then last year, I really didn't do it at all. I just started doing the 800 again this year in relays. And it was kind of a shock to me when they came up to me in practice and asked me to run the 8, because I never really thought of myself as an 800-meter runner. I didn't want to run the 800 meters because it seemed so long to me. You get mentally tired when you're just running around in circles, like sometimes. But then they stuck me in the relay, and they always tell us to run for our teammates. And that actually really helped, because if I'm thinking about Savannah Ames and Natalie Pfeiffer and all the other girls on my team, then I can run better. And I actually got a good time the first time I ran. It was 2 minutes, 33 seconds. And then the second time I ran, it was 2 minutes, 28 seconds. And I remember just being so proud that I dropped like a whole 7 seconds from my time. And so I've actually started to like it a little bit now that they stuck me in it, but I have Coach Chick and Coach Williams to thank for that, because I never would have volunteered.
I'll tell you what, though, that's a big change. You dropped 7 seconds, right? You dropped 7 seconds. Can you tell us how that, you did that? Was there any certain method or training or coaching? You mentioned your coaches, and that's good that you did that. And that's a big drop, huge. You talk a little bit about what method you may have used, or that, something that was a little different. But that watch, it tells no lies, right? That watch doesn't lie. So can you tell us a little bit about what method you may have used to shave that time off?
Yeah, so the only thing I can really do is if I think too much, I shut down. So I just run and practice the best that I can. So the hardest I can for the longest I can. And Coach Chick keeps like pushing me to run 800. So he would have girls pick me up in practice, which means that basically I would be running a 2-lapper, and then one girl would be running a 1-lapper, and she would pick me up on the second lap and run with me. And I would have to try and stay with her, which is a little tough when you're already tired from running 1 lap. And then there's a girl sprinting ahead of you. But that really helped my time to drop. And just running with my teammates overall, because we have some great 800 girls on our team that I like to pace with. And so it really helps me, like for my teammates, like specifically Savannah Ames, like Natalie Pfeiffer, those girls I mentioned before. Also, my friend Aria, who's a distance runner. So I try to stick with them and then just sprint the last part of the race.
Competition, right? Competition makes us all, either makes us cowards, right? Or raises our level, right? Raises our level because you've got great teammates around you. You mentioned they excel, they succeed. So you don't want to be the last one. You don't want to be left out, right? So I think that's great overall. Again, Coach, we keep mentioning Jim Chickarella, who's had an influence on track and field athletes here for over 50 years. I remember the Duke City Dashers, which you wouldn't remember. You weren't even born. But Coach has had a great influence on track and field here. Again, New Mexico Sports Hall of Famer. It's not for no reason. And he's done the jump rope thing for years too. So a lot of respect for him. We're going to ask you one more question. We're going to let you go for a break, but this is important. Your 4.6 GPA, straight A's all 4 years, which to me is more impressive than any athletic achievement. Not downsizing those either, right? Academics always carry the day everywhere you go, everywhere. So how do you budget time to be a student? And this is important. A lot of young ladies are listening to you here, right? They're listening. How do you budget time to be a student athlete? And again, great influence by your parents, and be a 4.6 GPA, straight A's all 4 years. How do you budget that time?
So you just have to prioritize a little bit, find out what's due first, what's worth the most points. What can you do when you're like tired at the end of the day, or you just had a track meet? But also my coaches have been really understanding. Coach Chick and Coach Williams, like I've had to tell them before, hey, I can't make it to practice because I have a project that's due tomorrow and I really need to work on it. I can't make it because I have to study for a really big test. And they're always understanding of the fact, because they tell us that we're athletes before students. That's why it's student athletes.
Right.
And they just tell me to run when I can, run on my own if I can after I finish my work, or they'll set up a different time that I can meet them and get the workout in. So they've been very flexible.
Analisa, wow, it's so impressive. You know, it's so impressive. Again, your mother and dad are huge influences, right? Huge. We don't want to not mention them. They're very important. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about your plans for the future after these messages on the sports desk.
In fact, this game was scheduled for 9 a.m. and we rescheduled just to the afternoon. Can Dalton Shkoka stay alive? Oh, that one's a little long. And that does it. Game, set, and match in favor of Cameron King.
Two-2 pitch. That's well hit. It might be trouble. No. Sliding catch and right by Noah Morlock.
That's a hit past the pitcher. And just like that, we'll have another runner come in. And wow, just like that. La Cueva strikes again as Melania Macias comes in.
Oh, 2. Line to second for the double play. Leadoff base runner erased. He was straying a little far on a line shot to the shortstop long, and he turns and tosses it to Padilla for the double play.
What?
So the second serve from Boson is in. Cross-court action going on at this point, and it pays off for Boson.
Make a play. There is the bunt, popped it up again. Long run, Cooper, and he's going to make the play. Catchers showing off their leather in this one. I'm out of it. In off the hands, right at Karras. He's going to short hop, scoop that, and turn the double play, maybe. Yes!
Whoa.
Double play! Karras let that one drop, and then a really tough hop. He certainly did that on purpose.
Wow, that's a shot. Wow, that'll do it. Oh my gosh. Man, a shot to center field over the fence for Genesis Jaramillo. And that's it, man. 10-0. Bears with the hot bats right now.
He is bunting. Got it way in on the kitchen there. And a great diving catch by the catcher Trujillo.
What great play, what great hustle by Trujillo right there.
That's well hit to Cooper. It is high. It is deep. It is showing an in-flight movie. Home run, David Cooper.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
For certified collision and body repair, visit the experts at CarCrafters. 5 locations in Albuquerque and Rio Rancho. Visit carcrafters.com.
CarCrafters, it's like it never happened.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. Our special guest today, La Cueva Track and Field, Analisa Ibarra. And Analisa, State is this week, you're graduating tomorrow. You got a lot of stuff going on in your life right now. You really do. You were able to make the show today, and we sure appreciate it. What's your approach to State this week? And there's some great pictures of your teammates. Of course, Jim Chickarella there on the left, and seeing Coach for so many years here. But your approach again, you mentioned this graduation tomorrow, right? You had the ceremony today, or the practice, and then State on Saturday. So what's your approach? There's some more great pictures of your teammates there. What's your approach to this coming weekend? You just mentioned to me during the break, you want to see one of your teammates run. Talk a little bit about the approach overall as a team for La Cueva this coming weekend.
Definitely. So we just, I think the coaches are still deciding who's going to be like in exactly what position on the relays. Like Coach Chickarella and Coach Williams and Coach Medley are all like really involved in placement and strategy. So they haven't told us yet what we're going to be running. So I think it's just going to be, winding down practices a little bit. So we are rested up for this weekend and we can go hard. So Fridays, the 13th, are prelims, and Saturdays, the finals. So for Friday, the coaches have told us that we need to just run smart races. All we need to do is get into the finals so we can really attack on Saturday. Because if you run a great time in prelims, I mean, that's amazing, but it only really counts when you get to the final race.
You know what, again, it's been running. Let's talk a little bit about the wind, man. It's been crazy windy, right? Crazy windy on some of these meets. Talk a little bit about that challenge, right? Sometimes the wind might be at your back, right? Now this weekend, I think Saturday's 83 and breezy, right? So not as windy as it's been in the last couple of weeks, but it's been a challenge. Talk a little bit about running in the wind, because that's a challenge in itself.
Yeah, so it's really tough to run a race, especially something like hurdles or like the open 4, if you're just being blasted by the wind on the straightaway. It's really painful for the 100-meter hurdles. And Seema and I have talked about this. Like when you're going head first into the wind and you're trying to push against the wind, because your stride really matters in the 100-meter hurdles. You have to have a quick turnover. You have to have a shorter stride and a quick trail leg. And if the wind is constantly against you, it really slows you down. Although she's run some pretty good times in the wind too. She's gotten 14.88 seconds before, so she's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I wanted our listeners and viewers to understand that. It's track is not for the faint of heart, man. It's not. You got to run outside. There's so many things going on. You're also the recipient of the Maryland Sepulveda Track Scholarship. You got so many things. We're not going to be able to get to them all. But talk to us a little bit about that. That was a big highlight of your track career as well. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Coach Chick was actually the one who nominated me for that scholarship. And he was the one that brought it to my attention too. He sent me an email with the Sepulveda scholarship saying, hey, I think we can win this if you're interested. And so I filled out the application. I made sure to get all my nomination letters, and I actually got it. So that was pretty cool.
That was another accomplishment. Again, you've got so many on your resume here. And after high school, what are your plans? Do you plan to run in college? What do you plan to go? What do you plan with a 4.6 GPA? I'm sure there's been colleges knocking on your door for sure. And again, you may want to run, but with that GPA again like that, you can almost write your ticket and go where you want to go. Talk to us a little bit about what your plans are after high school. And that's it's right here, right? You're graduating tomorrow. The end of the track season is Saturday. You're already seniors, so your classes are over. A lot of things happening. So talk to us a little bit about what your plans are after high school.
So I'm going to be attending the University of New Mexico, which is actually, it's a great fit because I want to go into medical school, and I'm currently on the wait list for their BA/MD program. But they have a great medical program there. They have great courses, and it's free college. So that was one of the deciding factors, because I was accepted into Baylor and Colorado State University and a couple of other schools, but just the tuition costs, like even with scholarships, would have weighed me down in later years. So my thinking is that I'm just going to go to UNM and enter the BA/MD program if possible. And then if I end up not getting into the program, then I might just go somewhere else for graduate school. But I do want to run in college. So I'm actually going to be talking with one of UNM's coaches after state this weekend.
That's great. Any particular athletes that you look up to, and it could be any athlete, but are there any track and field athletes you look up to, or do you try to emulate, or athletes period that you look up to?
Just, I mean, yeah, well, first of all, I'm going to mention my teammate, Sima Lucero. I know I've already brought her up, but she's an amazing hurdler. She has a great turnover, a great stride. And I just try to keep as close to her in practice as possible, because I know if I can stick with her, then I can run a really good race. And just, I don't have any like specific like athletes, but I really look up to like the Olympic hurdlers, especially. It's really cool when you watch videos of the Olympics and just see how quickly their trail leg is turning over and how short their stride is between the hurdles. It doesn't even look like they're really running, more like just zooming over the top. It's really cool.
Hurdles, yeah, is not easy. It's not. You just mentioned the leg turning over. We would know nothing about anything of the sort, right? They're fun to watch. They're very fun. It's a lot of technique, right? A lot of technique and a lot of attention to this minute detail, right? I'm sure. Never run them. I'm not a track guy at all, but that's interesting that one of your teammates is somebody you look up to. You admire them. That's great. I think that makes for great team cohesiveness. I really do. What's your favorite workout? You mentioned this morning that Coach Chickarella put you through on Monday, different workouts throughout the week. What's your favorite workout?
Well, that's kind of hard to answer because it kind of depends on how I do on that specific day. But usually I do like 100-meter hurdle workouts, which is today on Tuesday. So we just practice going over the hurdles after we do our hurdle drills. We do some short sprints out of blocks. It's a really kind of chill day. So it's not super tough. But I have recently begun to like the Monday workouts too. It's kind of interesting because I hated them for 3 years, to be honest. And then this year I was like, oh, I'm good at this. And so I actually kind of started liking running the 300s and 600s in practice.
Got a lot of different workouts to choose from. We're going to ask you one last question. We're going to let you go after that. What kind of influence has Jim Chickarella been on your track career? And, even coaches are influences not just on the field, right? Teach you a lot of different things. What kind of influence has Jim Chickarella been on your track career, even your career off of the track?
He's been outstanding, honestly. Like, the amount of support that I get from my coaches is just amazing, to be honest. They believed in me even when I didn't. I've had so many times in track and field that I was in tears before an event because I was afraid that I was gonna fail and let everybody down. And then they come up to me and they're like, it's okay, you can do this, we believe in you. And they actually, you can tell that they really, really mean it. And so you're like, okay, if you believe in me, I can do this. Mm-hmm. And it's just made a world of difference. And track has given me the confidence in my abilities in school too, which is why I have the 4.6 GPA and why I believe that the amount of work you put in is really reflects on your accomplishments. And that's something that Coach Chick and Coach Williams and Coach Medley have all taught me, is that it's the effort that you put in that you will get back out.
Yeah, no question about it. Analisa Ibarra, thank you so much for being our guest. We wish you all the luck at state this week and in your future endeavors after you graduate from La Cueva High School. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Thanks for joining us on the Sports Desk.
Thank you so much. I've been honored to be here.
You bet. For producer Alden Iwani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk.